Worldwide Hippies presents Hippie News and Stuff with Winston Smith and the Worldwide Hippies News team.
Welcome to Hippie TV News and Stuff for the week of May 16th, brought to you by worldwidehippies.com. I am Winston Smith. First, is it spring break in Europe? No, it's just riots, protests, and demonstrations in many European countries. These have been going on for months, but government and corporate media have done a pretty good job of avoiding, that is spelled deliberately and covertly, hiding the fact that austerity measures yoked upon the poor and middle income people in those countries has resulted in violent clashes with the New World Order stormtroopers. Greece is in a constant state of civil unrest, and last week it led to some deaths. But Greece is just an example of what is coming to America. The days of peaceful protest are made quaint when one sees how Europe is waging violent war against its own hungry and exploited people. But here's another story from here in the U.S. The top 5 oil company execs flew into Washington last week to testify before Congress about why the government should keep giving billions of taxpayer dollars to them. While this might seem a good thing, let's take a close look at what really happened last week. First, when was the last time, if ever, government asked you about corporate welfare? I mean, it's your money. Polls have said already that over 77% of Americans want the oil subsidies stopped and corporate loopholes closed, period. That should be enough. The real deal is that the media and the crooked lawmakers did a reach around on the American public last week. The House of Representatives passed bills to open up the Gulf Coast and other very large areas of U.S. coastline to oil drilling. If these pass, it'll make it faster and easier to drill offshore with even less environmental studies and in deeper water. And put into place along with these bills are limits on any damages multinationals are responsible for when an accident does happen. But they didn't stop there. For the first time in U.S. history, the government and the oil companies will agree to make a law that the only court that can hear cases involving damages from any oil company from Alaska to the Gulf is the Fifth Circuit Court of the United States. Yes, corporations got to choose before the fact what court will hear cases against them. The Fifth Circuit has 16 judges on it all of them with ties to big oil in one way or another, and 10 of these judges actually own over $100,000 worth of stock in these same companies. The only question left to be answered is, how many congressmen own stock in those oil companies? But we'll never know the answer to that. So while the media is showing Congress fighting for you, the taxpayer, over the few billions of dollars given to oil companies as rebates, what they weren't telling you is that at the same time, Congress just gave away the same corporations what could be trillions of dollars in free oil and a get-out-of-jail-free card for their future crimes. Here's some more news. Japan admitted last week that at least one reactor did have a meltdown. Actually, it's still melting down and will be for 1,000 years. Another reactor is tilting and possibly will fall over, spilling hundreds of thousands of gallons of highly contaminated water. But General Electric stock is up, so bye. And here is P.E. Nolan with her Wall Street protest update from May 12th. How'd it go, Trish?
Hi, Winston. Thanks. On May 12th, thousands of New Yorkers marched from City Hall to Wall Street, calling for economic equity. 60 groups participated in the demonstration, including unions and community groups and individuals just like me. Until last week, all I knew about demonstrations was what I had seen on TV as a kid, and of course those horrible photos from Birmingham, Alabama, and Kent State. But the march was not scary at all. In fact, it was energizing and fun and inspirational for everyone there. I saw a young woman standing on a bench with tears in her eyes as she watched people pouring into Wall Street, banging on drums and waving signs saying, "Make banks pay." Plutocrats and politicians will not give us our rights as if it's cake at some trickle-down birthday party. The Koch brothers and the other owners, as George Carlin called them, may have trapped us in the decline of American civilization, but that does not mean this is the fulfillment of Jay Gould's boast to hire half the workers to kill off the other half. It is fun and it is safe to get out of your PJs and into the streets and give a banker a nightmare. Back to you, Winston.
Thank you, Tricia. Beautiful. Keep it going, people. More news. The flooding of the Mississippi River will continue for at least 3 more months, according to experts. But there is a bright side to the flooding. All that water is sure to wash the dolphins and other dead wildlife from the Gulf Coast oil kill out to sea, away from environmentalists' prying eyes. And if the Mississippi flooding does enough damage to states all along it, why, we could have a New Orleans all the way from the north to the Gulf. You know, rich white folk and corporate-owned governments running everything? Nice. Oh, it's time for our Asshole of the Week. And this week it goes to Slick Willie Cocko Bill Clinton for using Haiti relief money to partner with the World Bank, multinationals, and private rich ruling class overlords living in Haiti. You know, the ones that actually have running water. So fire up a bliff and stroll with me back a little into Billy Mann's past with Haiti. This from blackagendareport.com. Ashley Smith writes, Bill Clinton, Haiti's new neo-colonial overlord? Clinton has betrayed all of his humanitarian promises. The corporate media portrays former President Bill Clinton as a great humanitarian friend of Haiti. The truth could not be more different. He has always supported the policies in the interest of multinational corporations and the Haitian ruling class at the expense of the country's workers, urban poor, and peasantry. After 1991's Daddy Bush CIA coup that toppled Haitian President John Bertrand Aristide, Clinton, as the new president, pressured Aristide to adopt free market economic policies as a condition of restoring him to power. Mr. Clinton recently apologized for impoverishing the lives of peasant farmers in Haiti. That was not unlike his apologies for NAFTA, welfare reform, don't ask, don't tell, FCC neutering, mutual fund deregulations, and his definition of is. But as always with Bill Clinton, his rhetoric could not be more different than his policies. After the devastating January 2010 earthquake in Port-au-Prince, Clinton became co-chair of the Interim Haiti Recovery Commission. And Hillary Clinton's State Department is pushing Monsanto hybrid seeds on the Haitian small farmers as earthquake relief. But back at the hotel, Billy Banker Boy Clinton took several $1 million of this relief money. That was enough money to fund water services for the first time to 10,000 people and also create hundreds of construction jobs for locals. But instead, he gave it to these multinational corporate bands of thieves and charlatans to finish the luxury hotel they started before the earthquake. Sure, they would have finished the hotel anyway. It's that, or have the jackals of human exploitation bunk with them when they came to Haiti. But why use corporate money when you have access to money for poor people at no charge? But what makes you, Mr. Clinton, a bit more slimy than a certain blue dress, a bit more reptilian than a Koch brother, is you're selling this to the donors, to Haiti's relief efforts, as a job program. You're selling this as a healing moment for Haiti's wounds. Billy also threw in several $100,000 more of relief money to hire and teach the locals how to be subservient to boss men when they come visit the hotel, and to cover their wages. So now, when Bill and Hillary and their rich elite visit Haiti, they can stay in a luxury hotel and be waited on by civilized, minimum-wage black folk, all at the expense of good-hearted people who donated money to help the recovery efforts in Haiti. And for that, you, Mr. William Scum-to-Some Clinton, you are Worldwide Hippies Asshole of the Week. And that's it for Hippie TV News and Stuff this week. Visit worldwidehippies.com for more news and stuff updated every 2 hours. And make a donation to help us keep up the howl for justice and world peace on our website. We will see you next Monday.